So, I had a good grind today for Evil Dead. I had at least a 2-stack, if not a 3-stack grind for 7 hours roughly. And I wanted to give my thoughts based off of the state of the game in terms of demon balance right now. You notice I'm going and resetting all of my skill points for all of my characters is because pretty much all of these builds, in my opinion, have changed. Now, the game was recently made free to play on Epic Games Store until Thanksgiving. And, oh, by the way, I'll showcase this off. This is my current blacksmith build right now. I'm looking to prestige him, and if I can get the prestige, I'll throw the extra point into Deep Pocket Amulet. My previous video that I had put out, I had the Weapon Master one-handed at 2 instead of 1, and I had a point in Good Karma. I've taken both of those points out because I need the extra amulets with him. I've kind of decided on that. And I also played a lot. I played 3-4 games today with a legendary machete, and with Weapon Master one-handed at 2, I did not like it. It was just not enough damage with the legendary machete compared to either the legendary mace or even a lower rarity 2-handed. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Now that I think about it, I could realistically on this build, I could potentially swap. I can do that actually. Now that I think about that. I can do that. I don't know why I didn't realize that before. I am big stupid. Okay, this build works better. Thank you, me. Anyways, continuing what we were saying. So, we had a good mixture of games today. I played against every single demon. I also did a couple of demon games afterwards where I played exclusively as the Plaguebringer, because I haven't played with the Plaguebringer in a while. Now, let's start real quick with what I think of the game health-wise right now. The first half of the grind, the first 3 to 4 hours of it, I was just a 2-stack. And it did not, in my opinion, it did not matter what the demon was or what the demon's level was at all. The demon side did not matter in the 2-stack. It entirely mattered on the survivors. And it did not matter the survivor's level, and it did not matter the survivor composition. The only thing that mattered on the survivor side was the game sense at the end of the game. Because in those first 3 to 4 hours, every single game came down to a team fight at a blue objective, or book and dagger, and either the demon killed the book, or the demon killed us, or we won. Those were the only outcomes besides DCs. And I have to mention, all of those games that were lost came down to one of 2 reasons. The other 2 survivors were usually a level 1 leader, a level 1 warrior, or a level 1 support, and they did absolutely nothing all game long, died and died, and we were just outnumbered by the end of the game. All of our losses today literally came from lack of healing supplies. We ran out of healing supplies at the end. And or we got outnumbered because the demon was too high of a threat level. If the demon got above level 25 and we did not have more than 3 shimps, we lost. It was as simple as that. Now, we won some of those games, but every single loss in that first half when it was just a 2-stack. I got Blacksmith to 25 last night, finally. Put out the video last night. Did some more testing with him today. I played a lot of people. I played Blacksmith. I played Support Ash. I played Hunter Ash. I played Amanda. I played Scotty. That's who I played today. I am playing the leaders. I can't remember if I played a game on Mia or not. But that's who I played. And overall, the experience was fine. Our wins were good. Most of them were either beatdowns on noob survivors, where it didn't matter, the two of us just carried. Our two survivors, we had one game where the two survivors literally just died at the start of the game, and we never bothered rezzing them. We just rezzed them on objectives, and they just were AFK from the second point on. They were AFK for the entire second point. They were AFK for the entire book and the entire book stage, and we still won 2v1. We had games against high-level demons where we won because the survivors played well. I had an Army of Darkness that acted like a buffoon at the beginning of the game, but we won the game despite him because he stepped up at the end and he really did help contribute, especially because the leader Ash was dog shit. But we had some decent enough games. We had games that we lost. We had a game where Amia at the end of the game threw a fit because she didn't get a legendary machete. She was a level 200 survivor, a level 200 prestige 2 Mia, and she didn't get a legendary machete. She got a purple machete. So she threw a hissy fit. And we won the game in spite of her. She was the lowest performing damage dealer on a team that included a blacksmith. That I think that just needs to be said. She lost damage to a blacksmith. I don't know what the build was. I don't care. She was a non-factor. We had a game with an Annie today. That was a level 200 account level Annie that pressed the finisher button every single time it was available. I'm assuming she was going for one of the prestige challenges. There is a the prestige 1 challenge for the leaders. Features perform 330 finishers. Why doesn't it feel nerfed? Hold on a minute. They added custom challenges for the characters now. I could throw this paper away, because that's different than before. Huh. Leader Ash. Yeah. I'll be damned. They actually have a little bit of variation for once. But, I'm assuming that's what she was going for. I just felt the need to mention that the survivor level did not matter. It all came down to what they did in game. We had random survivors that would pick up everything in sight. Did not matter. I had an Ash today, a game that I chose to DC on. Me and my partner DC'd. It was in the second half of the grind, which I will explain that in a minute, that we DC'd because this guy literally picked up every single item he saw and would not drop it unless you shot him with about a mag and a half on a lever action. It took about shooting him 7 times to get him to drop healing items. After the first objective fight, the first one, we were completely out of amulets and shems with a warrior and 2 supports. He had them all. And the entire rest of the team was orange health. He's full health, by the way, because he's just F-chaining, while the rest of us are having to tank the damage. He was the only chainsaw user and passed on a legendary chainsaw to hold on to a common lumberjack axe when we had a Scotty on the team. So that was a fun experience. And this was not a baby survivor, by the way. This was a level 25 leader Ash with an account level over 100. So, just as an example, the type of games that we've had today have been all over the place. We have lost games to level 1 demons. The second half of the grind, I'm going to just call the puppeteer grind. And that's why I'm making this video. We lost games no matter what. Now, for the second half of the grind, it was split between a 3-stack and a 2-stack. With the 3-stack, losing almost every game, and then going back to a 2-stack, winning the majority of our games. Where we DC'd from games 3 times. Where in the second half of the grind, whereas we had 0 DCs in the first half of the grind. And all of the DCs were to Puppeteer, and that has prompted me to make this video to talk about the balancing of the game right now. And the funny part was we won against Puppeteer in the second half of the grind. We won a game as a 3-stack, and we won as 2-stack. But we only got, in the 3-stack, we went 1 and 4 against Puppeteer. We lost 4, DC'd on 3, so we lost 1 normally, and we had another one. We legitimately had a game against a Puppeteer today. We played against a Puppeteer. We spawned just outside of Castle. Map piece was in Castle. Walked into the Castle. No melee weapons had spawned. None. I shouldn't say none. 1 melee weapon had spawned. We had a blacksmith, a support Ash, and 2 warriors. 1 melee weapon. And we ran into a possessed Puppeteer within the first 2 minutes of the game. That was a straight DC right there. So, that was fun. But, talking about the balance of the game, in my opinion, is that some of the mechanics need to be reworked. I don't believe the survivors should have the opportunity to set up before the demon. I think that is a completely unfair mechanic. However, there needs to be a check and balance system in terms of the demon's ability to possess Rush at the very beginning of the game. Now, the Puppeteer is supposed to be unique on this. However, there is a major problem in terms of puppet power. Puppet Master right now is kind of broken. If the demon player is experienced and finds the survivors, within the first 5 minutes of the game, he has won the game. The Puppeteer's playstyle right now is essentially become build around Puppet Master as much as humanly possible because it is absurd. So if you look at what it does, on paper it doesn't do much. Units you possess with your power gain 80% maximum health, 5% bonus damage. Now, this on its own is a little bit of a problem because the 80% maximum health effectively doubles their health pool. Let's round that to 100. This means you can possess a basic unit which is designed to be low damage and low defense, but attacks very quickly. So he's supposed to be fragile and weak, but he can chain you and he can interrupt you. I'm fine with that. However, Puppeteer with puppet power also takes into account the base AI's unit before its calculation, which leads to problem. Because you can stack a lot of abilities. You can stack Health Razor Basic, so the basic units have 35% more health. You can stack Rock Steady Basic, so the balance bars are 20% bigger. You can stack Heavy Damage Basic to begin with. Basic units deal 20% more damage. I'm not even talking about the Puppet Master tree just yet. Right? You have Puppet Master Invigorating Possession. Your evil unit hits a survivor, giving you energy. When you are in Puppet Master, you drain energy. So basically, every hit that you get in Puppet Master gives you an extra second of energy, so to speak. You can increase Fear passively. That doesn't do much. Easy Access, Possession Extension. These are all very good abilities for being able to maintain this. Alright? Why am I explaining all that? So you can start with extra health, you can start with extra damage, and then you get Puppet Power, which is giving you even more. Now, as you level puppet power, meaning if you're 45 like I am, even though I'm not prestige, now you go up by more. So these first 2 stages give you 20% max health and 5% max damage. That takes you to a bonus 10 on damage and a bonus 100 on health. Without the prestige, you're at 110 on health, and you're at a bonus 15 on damage. This means that whatever unit you possess will have more than double their health. Okay, that's understandable, because it's an extra possession. It has a cooldown on it. It's designed to be powerful. However, it also inflicts bleed damage whenever you do this. Then you have this. Puppet Master Basic gives you an extra 8% health and damage. So, without the prestige, it's taking you to an additional 120 and change. Let's call it 125. That's not accurate, but that's what I'm going to round it to. And an additional, I'll round it up to 25% bonus damage. That's not including Kandarian Fury. The longer you spend possessing a unit, the more damage they inflict, which can give you an extra maximum 20% damage, which does affect bleed damage. This means that a puppeteer, if they pop their puppet power on a basic unit, at the beginning of the game, they can possess you with over 150% bonus health, and they can have over 55% bonus damage. Every hit will interrupt you, but there are ways to work around this, people say. The problem is it's just not a fair fight. We had a matchup today, one of the matchups that we DC'd, where the puppeteer player had us in a tower at Fort Gort, okay? The one basic unit took out 3 full health survivors, a Pablo, an Army of Darkness Ash, and a Kelly. Full health with shields before me as a blacksmith could kill them. Let me put it this way. All 3 survivors who were level 25 had full builds, full pink F, good weapons. In our first encounter with the demon all game, he was threat level 8. First encounter. 3 full health survivors died immediately to 1 puppet power basic unit. 1. 50% of his health bar had not even been taken from him before the 3 survivors died. The only reason I was able to outlast him as a blacksmith was because I had timed my dodges a bit better, and I was able to pop a heal every now and then. In the time it took me to kill the remaining half of his health bar as a blacksmith, I went through 4 shemps and all 4 amulets that I had. He dealt less damage. He summoned the boss right after. He dealt less damage with the boss than that 1 basic unit. His boss took approximately 30 seconds to kill a full health blacksmith. His basic unit in 30 seconds burned through the equivalent of 2 full blacksmith health bars. Didn't die, came close. Now, understandably, some of this could have avoided by not being trapped in a tower. Understandably, some of this could have been avoided had the characters dodged. Port the Pablo and a blacksmith might not have been the best idea. Kelly. That being said, in the span of 60 seconds, 3 full characters, including a warrior, were murdered, along with a blacksmith, a high-level blacksmith, having to burn 4 shemps, which equating to about 2 of his health bars. I don't have the screenshot to submit, but the survivor damage dealt in that game that lasted less than 5 minutes was over 12,000. So, I would like to mention that the puppeteer is broken and needs a nerf. That is my game as an argument. This is not a high-level demon. This is an account level 126 at the time. I'm account level 97. Don't tell me that's a high level, maybe compared to a level 1. Now, another issue I want to broach is the Necromancer spam. Necromancer was very much a pain in my side today. I was about to say pain in the ass, but I decided not to swear until I said it. Anyways, the puppeteer right now caused a buff to the other demons. Now, he himself got nerfed, but he caused the other demons to get a buff. Now, the Necromancer already had an ability called Bone Rage, which increased the attack frequency on skeletons. This was not enough. Understandably so, the AI was very passive before. However, the game developers never changed the attack patterns of any of the demons. This, to me, causes a slight problem, because a Necromancer unit now has the same attack frequency as Puppeteer units do. But Puppeteer units are a bit more manageable because they are lower damage. You can build Puppeteer units to being higher damage and higher health, but they are inherently going to be weaker than other units, particularly their basic units, the most common unit to spawn in the game, and the most common unit for them to spawn into the game. Why do I mention this fact? Puppeteer basic units, to me, it makes sense that a Puppeteer's basic unit is able to constantly spam you with attacks, particularly uninterruptible attacks, because of how little health they deal. They have very little health unless you possess them. They have very little damage unless you possess them, and their abilities are terrible. They literally just have 2 explosions and a dodge. That's it. So, to me, I'm fine with that. I just simply think that the Puppeteer power needs to get toned down. I think these bonuses need to go away. These 3 bonuses should go away, and they should be changed into other unique mechanics for the Puppeteer. You could make these abilities, in my opinion, absurd. I don't have a problem with that. I would just simply make it so that this right here is fine. Puppet power would be at 5% damage, 80% maximum health, and I could see buffing that to the Prestige 5, putting it at 10% and 90%. That's a buff. These abilities go away. You can change how these abilities work. You could create something instead of Puppet Grandmaster 1. You could do something that would allow you to buff your boss unit, which would make it so that Elagos, when Elagos uses an ability, whether it's Telekinetic Surge, Casting Stones, or Psychic Squeeze, he receives a damage reduction for the next 10 seconds, and this is on a cooldown of 10 or 20 seconds. Simple as that. That makes his boss unit a little bit tankier. You could make this a permanent effect while you're moving, so while he is invisible, he keeps this 10% damage bonus. It's only when he's standing still that he gets this as well on a cooldown. Instead of Puppet Grandmaster 2, you could buff his elite units a little bit. The elite units have the Lightning and the Duplicity ability, so you could pick either one of those to buff. I would like to see something such as Chain Lightning, which makes it to where Thunderstruck's cooldown is reduced by 1 or 2 seconds for every survivor hit by it. So if you hit all 4 survivors, you can reduce the cooldown by 4 or 8 seconds, which would then give you access to another easy one. This makes lightning spin. If you want to buff Duplicity, you could put a buff in there where you have the clones that you create have a 50% chance to have the normal base health of a unit. That, to me, would make insane clone posse a bit of a stronger ability and make the clone more than just a simple distraction, so to speak. And your level 45, which is Puppet Grandmaster 3, in my opinion, that should benefit all 3 units. And I would put something in here such as every amount of fear that you do to the survivor will cause your next puppet, will reduce the cost of your next possession by a certain percentage. So you could set it like, if you deal 100 fear to every 100 fear you deal to a survivor, fear, not damage, but like fear inflicted, will reduce the cost of your next possession by 10% per 100 fear. So, you know, if you cause, like, if you max fear all the survivors, that's 40% infernal energy cost off your next possession. So you're not as reliant on puppet power. These seem broken, and I don't have a problem with that if they nerf the base Puppet Master, because Puppet Master is incredibly bullshit. A 4-stack on comms should not be instantly bullied, regardless of the situation, because you go up against a demon that knows what they're doing. The developers have talked about already that all 4 max level survivors are equivalent to 1 demon, to 1 max level demon. So why is 1 max level demon automatically better than 4 survivors on the Puppeteer only? Now, I'm not going to let this be a Puppeteer rant. I think his elite units are fine. They're a bit underpowered in my opinion. I think the lightning doesn't inflict enough damage right now. I think it's pretty weak, especially since they increased the velocity on it, where it's easier to hit. I feel as though it feels weaker now. I think his basics are overpowered, and I think his boss is in a mediocre state. And one reason I don't like Puppeteer is his playstyle is incredibly boring right now. His playstyle is quite simple. Summon units, summon basic unit, Puppet Master, kill. Occasionally summon boss. Elite builds are out the window. You do not see elite builds at all, which I think is an unfortunate side effect of the meta right now, where the elites just aren't strong enough versus a Puppet Power basic unit. And Puppet Power's strength is, it's an 80-second cooldown, and you can reduce that by 30%, so you can drop that down to, what is it, 55 seconds? 55 seconds? So pretty much every single encounter, you have Puppet Master up. Now, he literally just has that one playstyle. You cannot make a straight boss build on Puppeteer, because if you can't get your threat level high enough, you lose. Necromancer is probably the next killer to me that I need to talk about. Now, I think the Necromancer only needs one adjustment, and he's perfectly fine. So the Necromancer does not have the same playstyle problem that the Puppeteer has. He has multiple playstyles. I wouldn't necessarily say you can build into elites. I don't think his elites are good. They hit hard, and they're very hard to kill, which is fine, but they are very slow and very predictable, which kind of offsets both of those issues. The one thing I want to talk about on the ball on this is that the basic skeletons are too aggressive for the amount of damage that they deal, and or they deal too much damage if you want to keep the aggression. Now, a lot of people ran Bone Rage before. Bone Rage really doesn't do much. I don't have an issue with Bone Rage at all. However, the issue from this is that when they increase the AI, they never decrease the damage. And the Necromancer is able to drop the Flutist, which the Flutist gives an absurd damage buff. And the base number there doesn't matter once you get this effect, which increases everything by 20%. Some demons have complained that, well, he received a nerf because I have to get him to Prestige 5, or I have to get him to Prestige 1 in order to get my original damage numbers back. Okay? I said in a previous video this happened to other characters. Cementing this theory today, though, I should not lose half a health bar because I left a finisher. Half a health bar at the end of a finisher is ridiculous in my opinion. Right now, the flutist strategy is simple. If you can get your threat level to 16 or higher, and you put the points in properly, you can summon a portal, spam out a bunch of units. All of the units are going to attack in turn. If they're under the effect of the flutist buff, then they're going to be hitting you for an absurd amount of damage each. And because you were hit and interrupted, you are unable to do anything. Which means if you are out of dodges, or even if you dodge improperly, you are guaranteed to lose half of your health bar because 3 skeletons or 4 skeletons are under the influence of a flute. Part of that has to do with skeletal injury, because skeletal injury applies. I personally believe skeletal injury should be deactivated if it's under the flute. I don't think that's necessary if they either tone down the flute, which I kind of don't want to have, or they just tone down the AI aggressiveness. I don't think nerfing the base damage is fine. Is okay. I don't want to nerf the base damage, because that's going to force you to build into damage. I personally think part of the problem that the Necromancer has right now is he can just drop crowds upon crowds of skeletons, and at that point you're going to die because of the sheer fact that the AI aggressiveness and the flutist will kill you. If you don't wipe those skeletons out in one shot, game over. I've had games today when I was playing as both Scotty and Hunter Ash, where on Scotty, I was with my lumberjack axe for a heavy attack. If one heavy attack did not kill a skeleton, I was going to take a quarter of my health bar in damage. As a warrior, that's a lot. I was playing a game as Hunter Ash. I had a blue boomstick, and I basically got to take out 2 units with headshots, headshot, and if there were more than 2 enemies, I lost half my health bar. So the crowd aspect of Necromancer, which is his whole gimmick, is overpowered at the early game stage. If you can get to threat level 16 relatively early, it's over. And the healing doesn't matter, because then this throws in the wrinkle of the boss. His boss makes a very good finisher. A lot of people have talked about how Evil Ash is a weak character. I think people that talk about Evil Ash being a weak character have not properly played this game in the past 6 months. Because, yes, he doesn't have good abilities. He has heavy and light attack that everybody else has. He has a dodge, which most everybody has. And then he has 2 abilities that are just based around skeletons. Around summoning skeletons. And people say it's boring. I don't want to summon skeletons. Fine. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But, the ability to deny healing because he hit you with literally anything is a big problem when you understand the fact that he can drop the swarm of units like before, drop a flutist, and then summon Evil Ash, and now you won the game. Because any damage that the minions do with the flute can't be repaired if he hits you one time. Which gives them the opportunity to hit you again for the other half of your health bar. And the common argument is, well, you kill the skeletons. That's easier said than done because of Resurrection. And Resurrection makes them stronger. And the fact that Evil Ash can build into his boss easier than other characters can. I still say boss build on Evil Ash is probably one of the better strategies. Since they improved the combo speed of his heavy attacks, he can now take a full health blacksmith from full health to 0 in 2 full heavy combos without needing to level up. And if his threat level is above 20, that's 1 combo instead of 2. Without a flute. So, I just want to question the logic behind the Flute Swarm. The Flute Swarm is a bit overpowered in my opinion when boss is out. It's a bit of an overload. Now it is a bit more manageable because he can't rush you like Puppeteer can. It's more of a mid-game thing, so it's more counterplay for the survivors. I'm not as big on him getting nerfed. I think that it's kind of unfair that one unit is able to do so much damage at that point in the game. To me, once both blue objectives are done, it's anybody's game. I would have no problem, because the demon is supposed to get desperate. I would have no problem if the demon can, like, fucking one-shot you at that point in time. But, before that? Nah. It's a bit excessive. Now, Plaguebringer is in a very uncomfortable position. Plaguebringer, to me, suffers from the fact that her units got shafted by all the changes. Her boss unit is the weakest of the boss units in the game. By far. Her res ability is not strong enough to save her. And while she's immune to balance bar damage and has no energy cost, that is not enough to make the res menacing because of the lower health pool. If I'm a level 25 Scotty, and I can kill her in 2 combo strings by myself, and she reses, and I kill her in 1 combo string, that's a problem. She needs a massive buff. I want Plaguebringer to get a buff. I enjoy playing against Plaguebringer, believe it or not. I like the mechanic that she's basically the other version of the Puppeteer. I like the mechanic that... Okay, well, I don't know what the comments think they're going to be able to post, but the comments are not posting what they're trying to post. Apologies if it ends up showing up. I'll check the video afterwards. But, these units need a buff. The Pit Deadite does not do enough damage to justify its speed. Yes, it's impossible to kill, particularly for warriors. I'm fine with that. I like the status conditions it has, but it needs a buff in terms of the damage on it. Just a little bit of a buff, or an attack frequency buff. The basics are incredibly quick, incredibly fragile, with no damage. Now, they're supposed to use the energy, you know, to deal the blight damage and to power up. Yeah, it does shit. It does absolutely nothing. These guys are so easy to put down. The only thing about Blight that is menacing is if she runs a full Pit Deadite Possess build, or if her boss is strong enough where if she knows what she's doing on boss and she's prioritizing focusing down one person at a time with her abilities and staying on the move, then she becomes menacing. Her Cauldron doesn't do much except negate healing, meaning unless she's able to use the Cauldron to force survivors to play in a certain area, the Cauldron has no use. Because they can run away, and if they're not in the Cauldron, and they're not getting that anti-heal, it does nothing. The Blight Booster is worthless, from what I've played on it. Yes, you gain a ton of energy when a survivor's affected with Blight. But if you can't use that energy effectively, she has a problem. And Toil and Trouble just makes it harder to kill the Cauldron. I'd like to test that a little bit more. I'll test that in the coming days when I get her leveled up all the way. But it just isn't strong enough. In my opinion, right now, the Warlord is the balanced demon in the game. The Warlord definitely is the balanced demon. I do want to see her passive reworked. I don't like really bad influence being as strong as it is. Not because, oh my god, these are overpowered right here. I want the units can't suffer balance bar damage to be made into the base kit. And I want it to have a longer cooldown. I think it was at 30, and then they moved it to 60. I don't know if it's still at 60 or not. I would just simply like to see it at a longer cooldown with the units can't suffer balance bar in base kit. You could put it at, 90 or 100 seconds, and I'd be fine with that, and rework these 3 abilities, again, like Puppeteer. She's strong, she hits hard, but she's the late game killer. That's why I don't have a problem with her. I like late game killers, I like it where it goes the full distance, because if you're a good demon, and you wear the survivor down, and you wear them out of resources, I don't mind those games, because you're forcing the survivors to choose at the end of a game between, do I go rush objective, and I don't have to worry about the storm, I don't have to run the risk of the demon jumping me when I'm separated from my team, or do I just go and loot and try and get some resources to make the final fight easier? I like the late game of this game. I don't care what demon it is, I like the late game when we get to the late game, particularly as a survivor player. I don't think it's satisfying to get bullied with a 4 stack of level 25 ashes in the first 5 minutes of the game. I had a Smurf account on Puppeteer as well that we played against today. And I know it's a Smurf account on a Puppeteer, because the account level on the demon was level 6 on Epic Games, on PC, and that Puppeteer player still killed us within the first 7 minutes of the game, even though it is impossible for him as a demon to be level 45. Even though we stage grouped, even though we played by the book. That's not fun. Warlord games are fun because she's hard to kill. Her units, to me, are perfectly fine. They might be a bit weak. I'm even fine with the attack frequency on them. With the attack frequency and the damage that they deal. The only mechanic I would maybe change on this is I would make it so that units that are affected by really bad influences aura don't use special abilities. The elite and the basic units, I would take away Puke, I would take away the dodge, I would take away the smash. And the reason I say that is, if an AI unit under really bad influence hits you with Puke, and the possessed unit just walks up and starts smacking you while you're unable to move or do anything, and they're able to get half your health bar and damage, that's a bit of an unfair mechanic. Because the Puke can be hard to dodge if you summon multiple units. That's kind of my point of contention on the Necromancer specifically, is that he can summon so many units you can't avoid the damage, and the damage is too high. Now, if this seems like a salty Survivor main complaining, I understand that there are demon players out there that run into full sweat squads. And that full sweat squads are designed to give you a challenge, but as a demon player, you should not be expected to win every single game. You should not. I think that your goal should be 50%. That's what I look for as a Survivor player. When I play a Survivor, I'm expecting a 50% win-loss rate. If the game goes the distance, 50% either way. And right now, the numbers don't show that. Warlord games are going the distance, with either the Warlord player is winning at the book stage, or they're losing at the book stage. The Plaguebringer is a below-average killer. Her win rate is very low from the games I've played against her today. From the games I played with her today, I played 3 games with her. I won 1, I lost 2. The game that I won, I killed the survivors at the first objective because the objective spawn was favorable to Cauldron. And that's the only reason I won. And for the other 2 games, my elite units got killed faster than I could put them back out. That was most of the damage right there. So she needs a buff. Necromancer's above average win rate. But interestingly enough, he's not winning outside of either the 2 objective fights or killing the book. I've noticed that. He doesn't win before the objective fights. I'm fine with that. It's frustrating losing every single time at the objective stages, but I'm fine with that. I think he needs a little bit of a tweak. Puppeteer needs a major nerf. And demon players out there that talk about how many times Puppeteer has been nerfed, he's been nerfed for a reason. And if you decide to go prestige him to prestige 5 and get those extra 5 skill points and just bully everybody when the game is off of Epic Games Store, At that point, we're screwed. There's no new players coming in unless Saber decides to release this as, you know, a free game of the month for PlayStation. Or put it on Game Pass for Xbox. At that point, Puppeteer, if they have not received a nerf, they're going to kill this game. And it's as simple as that right now.